All right, and we're live, everyone. Hey, folks, welcome. Thanks for joining us for this first panel of Diffusion. We've got some excellent folks with us today, and we're going to be kind of talking around like NFTs and like, will they drive adoption of crypto? Obviously, like we've hit quite a, I don't know whether we call it a hype cycle or not. I'm sure some people will have some views on that, but certainly prices are going up, and we've got a lot more interest coming into the space. And I guess there's one inner hope that all of us see is that this interest in NFT from non-crypto people will drive overall adoption of crypto over the next couple of years. But I think the best way to start is to introduce the people that we've got with us. I think if we go around the table, just kind of introductions, your backgrounds, and your favorite NFT, I think feels appropriate. If we go Jordan, Seb, Pete, and then we wrap up with Serena, that would be absolutely golden. So Jordan, do us proud.
Hey everybody, my name's Jordan Lyle. I'm representing the meme team today. Don'tbuymeme.com, fun project that exists at the intersection of DeFi and NFTs. And then we recently announced our sister company, NFTs, nifties.com, NIFTYS.com, at Nifties on all the social platforms. I'm really excited to be here. My favorite NFT is, and this is great because not all of them can you actually grab and hold and share, but it's the Beeple every day with the Ethereum into the ether, and it's great. It's something I show often. It's physical, it's digital, it's coveted. So I like to share.
Nice one. Seb.
Hi everyone, my name is Sebastian Vogel. I'm the CEO and co-founder of the Sandbox, which is a gaming virtual world on the Ethereum blockchain where creators can make their own NFTs via 3D assets and game experience and monetize them using Sand and non-fungible tokens. I'm also the president of the Blockchain Game Alliance, which is a non-profit organization which is here sharing knowledge about the use of blockchain technology in the video game industry. And well, my favorite NFT was a tough question. I have plenty of favorites because we're in the space of UGC. We have so many talented creators in the space. I guess I'll say like, I love the crypto kaijus. We did a collaboration with them, specifically Dogjira. So we have like both a physical NFT, which you can see in my background, and we also give the NFT equivalent to those physical toys, so creators can use them inside Sandbox Virtual World to create their own video games as well. So that's a cool experiment and something that brings value to both collectors and users. So that's one of the reasons I loved it.
Cheers, Seb. Cheers, Pete. Just take yourself on mute as well.
Cool. Hi guys, I'm Pete, CEO, co-founder of CoinBurp. So CoinBurp.com. We are an existing UK cryptocurrency trading platform, but more recently we're venturing into, I guess, DeFi waters where we're creating this NFT first wallet, which will enable, I guess, it's a one-stop shop for users and customers to be able to buy NFTs with fiat. So a lot of existing NFTs will be unlocked, is what we see, right? There's a lot of locked values currently stuck in, let's say, Ethereum, where most of the NFTs are purchasable via cryptocurrency, but why not unlock this with fiat, right? We do the difficult stuff on the back end to enable these purchases. To be honest, NFTs, in terms of my favorite NFT, I haven't got one in particular, but I think CryptoPunks was my first introduction to NFTs, and the ones which really stick out, I guess, are the alien ones, which really are really interesting to me. So I'd probably just go for CryptoPunks in general.
Cheers, Pete. Cheers, Pete. And then Serena.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for bearing with me and welcome to my new office. Somebody has already spotted that. My favorite NFT, this might surprise quite a few people, but I had a look since you asked this question last week. And I have to say my favorite NFT at present is Damien Hirst Cherry Blossom, which is a series of paintings as well that was made available on Nifty Gateway. And the reason is that it's spring and I love the way it looks. And I've been working with Damien in the past when I was at Tate, and I simply just love that as it's that time of the year. And I'm Serena. I'm the co-founder and director of MOCDA, Museum of Contemporary Digital Art. And I also have the pleasure to collaborate with Sebastien at the BGA, where I co-organize events and support women in the space.
Awesome. Thanks very much, everyone. I love, Serena, that you chose Cherry Blossoms. You're here to bring some class to us all. We're just like a bunch of NFT DJs hanging out in corners, and you make us look real. Thanks very much for coming. So I think our starting point, folks, is really around the assumption that NFTs are accessible, and that they're more accessible than cryptocurrencies itself. There's been a bucket load of press about NFTs at the moment and what it means, how it works, how it confuses people. To the point where I was chatting to my dad. He always gets a mention on these sorts of things on Sunday, and he said, "Scott, have you heard about these NFT things? They make zero sense to me." And yet he's a man who holds Bitcoin. So I guess my first point out to these guys is, are NFTs more accessible, and if so, kind of why? Seb, I know that you had some thoughts that you maybe would start us out with, and then we can take it from there.
Well, I think NFTs are more accessible than any cryptocurrency in a sense that NFTs can represent any class of digital asset, whether they are like collectible, game items, domain names, virtual land, and all of that. We do have visually an easy, even crypto art, we have a visual representation of what they stand for, basically. We are already familiar on what they stand for. We just understand that the ownership of the content is moved to the blockchain. So it's almost like whenever we see those NFTs, we can have like a very instant purchase decision. Like, I love it visually, it appeals to me. There's almost like this blitz moment where I want it or I don't want it, and you click. And that's as simple as that. You can represent it, it's material almost. Whereas cryptocurrency, you have to dig into white paper, you have to understand who is the team, what's the value of that token, what's the distribution of the token over time. So there's a lot more research to be done to understand if it's going to appeal to you or not. So in that sense, I do think based on just the aesthetic, the utility, and the representation of what the NFT stand for, that it's the best way for the mainstream adoption.
Right. And I guess that falls in line with NBA Top Shot and kind of how that's kicking off. Jordan, fire.
Yeah, I mean, you brought it up, NBA Top Shot. I have anecdotal evidence from several of my friends and family members that, I've been preaching Bitcoin and Ethereum and meme for months and years now, right? But it wasn't until my brother found out that you could own an NBA highlight, that you can own LeBron James dunking, where he said that just kind of blew his mind. And he said, there's only several of these and I could be the owner. So he jumped in, connected straight away to NBA Top Shot. And then that was kind of the gateway drug where he was like, okay, well, how is this different from a meme NFT? And how is this different from X, Y, and Z? So then I kind of walked him through, okay, first you need to go get ETH over here, set up a MetaMask wallet. So I'm seeing firsthand, even though I'm preaching, NFTs for a while now, it wasn't until there was content that was interesting to some friends and family members where they decided to take the plunge and then started getting into deeper and deeper into the crypto space.
Right. So like the NFT provided the gateway drug, as you called it, which is excellent, but then they still had to go through the hurdle of opening a MetaMask, purchasing Ethereum, but you're saying it gave them that willingness to do so.
Yeah, it was just the motivation. And, prior to that, maybe financial aspects of crypto, that wasn't interesting to them, or they're not a degen trader like many of us, right? Where it wasn't until this collecting, which is an inherent, maybe even human desire to collect and hoard, and that just kind of bridges into this digital environment where that's just kind of a natural thing for people to want to collect things and show them off. So I think that was the entry point, and then there's a little bit of a hurdle now that we have to get over, and it's like, okay, well, if you want to start collecting these other NFTs on Ethereum, or if you want to start holding on to these tokens, which I recommend, which I've been talking to you guys about for years and years, then you're going to have to do X, Y, and Z. And they're a little bit more motivated because they now it's I think the paradigm has kind of shifted in their mind about digital scarcity and what that means.
Okay, digital scarcity, and then tying into collections, right? Like, Serena, you've been doing Mokta for a while. Like, it is about scarcity of good quality art. Like, what changes have you seen over the last 18 months, which kind of, give you faith that maybe NFTs are going to drive crypto usage?
Mm-hmm. I think the fact that more institutions, organizations, galleries, and more established artists are coming into the space. The fact that those people are getting interested in learning more about what NFTs are and what these can do for them. The fact that we also see auction houses being present in the space. PAC has been, I think it's been released today, the press release about the editions and the drop. So this brings more legitimacy to the space. I think NFTs and all those conversations happened already. So everyone sort of has an awareness about what NFTs are. I think there's still quite a high entry barrier for the general audience because owning crypto or trading in crypto can still represent a barrier, depends on which country you live and what kind of like bureaucracy you go through. But it's definitely becoming more and more accessible. And I think when different regulations will be available, then the market will adapt quite fast. But in terms of scarcity, yes, these definitely now represents something that people have been looking at. NFTs at the start, everyone was sort of invited for free to join up and test. Now it's becoming more and more selective, and I think that process of curation has become necessary to be able to filter what we see and how we digest the content we see. So it's an interesting shift that's been happening.
All right, and then Serena, if you could start us off on this one as well. I would like your take on whether or not NFTs will survive the current hype that they're going through, and what they're going to kind of look like, because you're probably at the pointy end of this with, Hearst coming in, $1 million sales happening. Jordan, I know you're seeing it as well. But is it going to get past this, and will people get fatigue from NFTs? Like I saw, like the Gorillas got slammed, Snoop Dogg got slammed the other day because it's kind of like just a gesture of participating in the NFT market.
Yeah. I think it will survive. I mean, technology is here to stay, and I think this kind of potential that blockchain has released, will definitely stay with us. But I think the mode will change, the way we're going to approach the market. So I think there will be reinstated those curations, as I said before, but also ways of approaching the market, because people that want to enter in the market, I think they want to do it with a bit more of security. So I think a good understanding of the volatility of these cryptocurrencies, once they will be more stable, will definitely bring more interest. They will generate more interest from the wider audience. So I think the bubble will pop at some point. But I think it's going to bring more stability, and it's definitely here to stay.
Go on, Seb. I can see you on the edge of your seat. You probably want to tell me how it's not about art; it's about land. It's about more than just what Serena's selling.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. Like, even though we've been pioneering the space for 3 years and we've seen like the lows and highs of NFTs, I think we're still just scratching the surface of what NFT truly enables behind. Like, art has been, and collectible have been the two first use case people found and start to embrace, jump into. But gaming NFTs and virtual land, real estate NFTs, virtual real estate NFT, I think are the next generation of NFTs that will really take off from now on, because they are not there just to be collected or just for their aesthetic value. They are also here because they are enabling behind play to earn. They are enabling various utilities, like giving access to certain game, certain experience, certain live concerts, enabling to connect creators and fans more than just with the simple fact of being a buyer and a seller, but being the part of a community that can interact, socialize, chat, play games, and do a lot of other activities in the metaverse. And the metaverse to me is the place where the NFTs are going to find their true utility, their true expression, and the true potential as well. And just to say, like, we're probably just a couple million of people who enter the market now discovering NFT for the first time, but there's still 2.5 billion people around the world that have access to internet, that can be collectors, that can be gamers, which are just going to discover those NFTs and their utility as well. So on the long term, I'm still remain strongly positive and bullish that this is not even a bubble. We are just at the beginning of something.
I'll remind you, you told me it wasn't even a bubble, Seb. I'm gonna we got a question coming in the chat, which follows us along the lines of that we assume that NFTs are going to become mainstream, and they're asking around like, how do we store them? Long-term solution is at mobile phones. I guess, Pete, like, you just launched a wallet which kind of deals with this issue. Like, how are you envisaging people storing, transacting, showing off their NFTs in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I guess quite broadly, when we talk about NFTs adoption against crypto, I guess the implementation of the NFTs or the way it's marketed is a lot easier for someone to understand than the idea of crypto for the first time, right? I mean, I guess when I was young, I was collecting Pokemon cards and I was collecting football stickers. You know what I mean? It's very relatable. It's very understandable for people. So when they see NFTs for the first time, it's quite easy to grasp. I think the difficulty we have at the minute is, in the NFT world, you need to, for the most part, need to understand how non-custodial wallets work, how you're going to purchase Ethereum to get into certain platforms. So the idea behind, I guess, fiat-enabled purchasing or custodial NFTs, where we could take away the difficult legwork, where you don't lose maybe a large percentage of customers who are interested in NFTs but don't quite understand the idea of non-custodial wallets. I think if we can smooth out that process and do the custodial side for them and take care of the purchasing, and just making it as easy as, I mean, if you compare crypto to where it was several years ago, it's quite complicated to understand. And where we are now, right, anyone with a debit card can sign up to an exchange and purchase some crypto. It needs to be as easy as that to be able to purchase NFTs in the world if we're really to get the mass adoption that we're looking for.
Yeah, sounds good to me. If we can drive that mass adoption. Another one that came in is the problem that the name is NFT. I don't know where to throw this one, by the way, guys. Like, I'm pretty sure all of us from the beginning have just accepted that the technology should be NFT and that's how we should talk about it. But it's not really a friendly term.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, we had debates like whether we should rename it or not in the industry. How do we rename it to make it friendly? And then the public, the media adopted it, so it's there. It's going to stay. I think everyone is happy about that, right?
All right, keeping it. It's been decided. It's been decided. So, Pete, you mentioned that like fiat coming in. I know that on Jordan's site and also up on Seb's site, like, people can only buy NFTs using crypto. Like, do you think that's going to change, or is the plan is you on-ramp them through something like Top Charts, and then they get in, as Jordan said, one of his friends was doing, and then they continually transact using crypto? Or are you guys with your platforms looking at, how do we enable fiat to purchase these things?
Yeah, we're thinking a lot about that on the Nifty side. So meme is for the crypto native, right? It's got a token, it's farming, it's a little bit more innovative. I call it the indie label. And then we have Nifties, which is taking a bigger bite of the market, which is going after a more non-crypto savvy user. Our thesis is the rest of this year, we're going to see a wave of new art, new artists, new applications, new publishers, new creatives, new creators hit the stage, hit the scene, and with them drive more mass adoption, more of a general audience. So we're thinking about things where how can we still build on decentralized platforms like Ethereum and connect to other blockchains and connect to the various platforms, get the benefit of composability and safety and security of the blockchain. However, obfuscate the complexity of connecting a wallet and copying your address and sending from a centralized exchange to your wallet and jumping through all those hoops. So we're thinking a lot about that, and at the wallet level, at the user experience level. I should just be able to connect my credit card, and maybe it's slightly centralized at first, but then there's a process, and we're guiding the user through, okay, great, you purchased your first collectible, you got your first NFT, here's how you save it long term. Here are the benefits of that. Here's what a private key is. So it's kind of walking through the user of the process, but capturing them early in like this seamless way as much as possible. And it'll be a process to get there. But I think, so yeah, to answer the question, I think it's there, it's at hand. It's a challenge, but I think groups like ours and a few others that are experiencing this, I think we can pull it off.
Nice. Seb, you're looking at taking fiat in the sandbox?
Well, I'm divided on the question, because there's guys like NBA Top Shot. They've done an amazing job at making the concept of digital collectible and NFTs mainstream. People buy with their credit card. They don't even know they have a wallet. They don't even know it's an NFT. They probably don't even try to sell it out and make a use of the benefit of it being an NFT, being able to export it to like secondary marketplace, etc. And we've seen that it worked with great success, like the adoption, the number of transactions we've seen on NBA Top Shot that show that people are enjoying some of the benefits of being able to transact on marketplace without necessarily caring about the idea of the ownership and the private keys so much as we do. And on the other side, in Sandbox, because we have our own utility token, because we have our concept of land, it's user-generated content, so people make their own NFTs. I still think it's important that we have that little friction, and it has improved a lot than versus when we started about 3 years ago. So people can create a wallet just with a social login or an email, much simpler, don't need MetaMask. But like at least there is a technical challenge, some friction that makes you at least get it, like, okay, this is a technology change, there is a benefit. What is it I'm using? It's a little bit hard at the beginning, but then I get accustomed to it. I've been using it, and we can bring more users. And we've been already able to validate with Sandbox that hypothesis. We have more than 200,000 users who created a wallet. We have thousands of artists on the marketplace that we launched last week. We minted their token for the first time. 6 months ago, no one of them wanted to accept Sand as a way of being paid. Now they all are super excited about Sand. They want land. They are some of the top creators and members of the community. So we've been able to turn those users into like, this is hard. Artists are not the best technical people usually. This is hard. It's not for me, into technology adepts. And yes, I see the benefit. I'm part of that community. I'm part of that world, and I want to, and they're glad of that. So that part, those success stories, those beautiful human success story, tells me like the friction was a key also to the adoption in a way.
Right. So okay. So friction isn't necessarily
and that's tricky. Yes, I get it. Like it's tricky, but in a way, like and because of my background with mobile gaming, sometimes like you might retain less users at the beginning, but those you're going to retain, they are going to be really sticky and engaged with the platform. So of course, you don't want a funnel where only 1% of the user retain. Like the goal is, okay, 50%, or the churn is not too high. And that's what we're working on. But I'm not saying like, let's remove all friction at all. That's the nuance. And
yeah, so friction represents learning. And once people learn, they then stay around for longer, which is some of the basic like UX challenges. And when we were talking about this previously, Serena, you thought that was nonsense and that stuff should be just real straightforward and easy. Do you want to maybe walk us through from your take why that is?
Sure, yes. Well, I'm talking more maybe from an artist standpoint, and I think a lot of those conversations around the tech often scare a lot of people. Simply because often artists or people who want to collect art are not interested. They just want to enjoy whatever they buy or are involved with. The difference with NFTs is that it's a community and it's a movement in itself. So that means that part of that knowledge sharing, it's embedded in the owning an NFT and being part of that community. So I think there's willingness to learn, which is very different from somebody who attends, for example, an auction and simply wants to acquire a piece of work that want to hang in that house and enjoy. So I think that's, kind of like part of the experience that you get as somebody who's in the NFT community or wants to be involved in that. I still think the barrier are pretty high in that respect. So I think the ability of simply purchasing an NFT with a credit card, it's important. And also deciding whether you want to buy with fiat currencies or crypto. I think that choice should stay with the clients, with the whoever is the customer, let's say, in that sense, which is not always an option. So I think there are still some barriers, because I think if we're going out there in the world asking people, general audience, what NFTs are, probably less than 5% will know.
That makes sense.
I reckon.
No, you're probably right. Which I think ties into one of the questions which has just come up in the chat, is around like, once you bought NFTs, like how do you show them, and like how do you tell people that they're yours, and how do we see that evolving? Because I think once that becomes clear to collectors, and also on like a more like a kind of social flex level, it will provide some benefit and understanding of what's happening at NFT level. I don't know if Pete or Jordan, if you guys wanted to kind of do this, Pete, you're kind of moving into this space and making it usable, but also Jordan, some people just get your stuff so they can show off.
I guess our research tells us that mobile phone app users are much more prominent than the web users, right? You have your mobile phone on you when you're on the train home, or when you're sitting in bed, right? You don't always have your laptop on your lap out when you're doing the train. So I think for mobile phone users, I think web wallets are much more important. I don't think there's been enough time spent on it. I think where DeFi has gone into, the laptop users are much more prominent with other protocols outside of NFTs, like savers and lending protocols, right? It's much more a desktop requirement than a phone. But when we talk about NFTs, I mean, the ability to be able to share this visual artwork and be able to do some like cool 3D renders and share these links with your friends and share your wallet address so they can add it in the wallet and see everything that you've got, right? That idea of community and yeah, really showing off what you've got. I think it's much easier on a mobile phone, on a native app, than it would be on web. So that's for us at CoinBurp, that's the route we're going. We feel the future is on mobile apps when it comes to that. So that's where we're heading into.
And then at the risk of shilling my own project again, there's we're thinking a lot about that at Nifty's, and most NFT projects out there are very transactional, right? They're just like variations on eBay, essentially. They don't do a really good job of presenting and curating and tapping into the social aspect of art and digital art and collectability. There's several cool projects out there. I'm really excited about many. There's really cool things happening on Sandbox, on a bunch of different virtual platforms where you can have your own gallery. The way we're thinking about it at Nifty's is this should be a social experience. So we're kind of layering in these like social galleries where everything is on display and you can kind of curate it, and it's a little higher bar for quality, and every gallery is like a marketplace in itself, so everything is for sale. And I do think that mobile is a big focus there as well. I think we've just begun to scratch the surface of how we show these things off. I showed off my physical Beeple. There's, I printed to canvas one of the meme NFTs. It's just so fun to think about all the different ways that we can show these off and flex, to use your term, Scott.
Thanks, man. I felt super cool when I got told that I should use that term. I've been told I need to start wrapping up, but I think, Serena, I'd like you to finish us up, because you actually exclusively historically used to deal with how people show off their art in the real world. So I guess your take on how that will change as we move into showing off our NFTs?
Well, I have to say, I don't think there's an optimal solution right now to show NFTs in the real world. There's multiple things that can be done. Of course, the use of screens, and I'm a huge fan of public installations. So think big. Think about Piccadilly Circus or Times Square, where you can have large screens and simply just share the art, freely with the audience. I think that's what museums should do in the future, and that's where I hope we will be heading with Mokta as well. But on the side, I think also the metaverse is places like the Sandbox, the Decentraland, Crypto Voxels, for example, can be a representation of what could potentially be done in IRL. So creating environments where people can walk in and have this duality between the virtual and the real. So that you could create co-references between your experience as an avatar in the metaverse, but also as a human being walking on the street. So I think creating a strong connection between the two, facilitated through the use of devices, that could be an interesting way forward.
Gotcha. Thanks very much, Serena. Well, folks, we kind of come up to our time. I'm not entirely certain we answered that question, but I think that off the back of this, I think everybody new to crypto watching this, the one thing they should take away is like these four people just like real love talking about NFTs and how much fun they are. And I think that particularly with the art and the creator space, it is about enjoyment and fun. And that's kind of like helping us flow into whether it's putting friction in between people buying ETH or whether it's making it real simple. That like fun, playful angle is doing us a lot of service. For those who want to stay around, I'm going to be talking to Pete from CoinBurp afterwards to dive into more about his plans. But otherwise, stay around for the rest of the 2 days. We've got some good stuff coming on. And thanks again to Jordan, Sebastian, Pete, and Serena for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks, God. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.